Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. Tonight, we're going to discuss Loopmancer. Loopmancer is a roguelike game set in a cyberpunk world that released on July 13th, 2022 on PC only, with a future unknown release date for some consoles at this time. It's pretty much, it is a roguelike game that is cyberpunkish, and you're a detective in the city of the East. So it's Asian themed cyberpunk, you know, so it's kind of a weird concept. I'm not a huge fan of roguelike games, but it's got a lot more of the other features that I kind of do like. You know, it's a little mixture of some RPG elements, some action, some adventure stuff. It's kind of an oddity for me because I'm not a huge roguelike fan. But what I do like is the stylization of the game, the kind of hack and slash combat of it. And it's not as difficult as some of the roguelike games are. It has a plethora of weapons and different attack styles. Like you have guns, you can shoot guns. You have melee weapons, or you can use your fist. You have like abilities, like an arc ability when you first start out. You also have power abilities. Once you hit people enough times with a certain weapon, you do the build up release, and it does a cool little mega super attack that can attack multiple people and things like that. And the biggest downfall I think of is a roguelike game. If it wasn't a roguelike game, it'd be a damn good game, in my opinion. But I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, so I'll let some people get some of the initial thoughts in. Nick, what are your initial thoughts of Loopmancer?
Yeah, it's an okay game. It is a roguelike, and I don't typically mind roguelikes all too much. I do. So the things I like about this game is I think the combat's good. I like the variety of weapons, right? You have your melee, you have your gun, you have like mines or explosives, you have like this little, like Pat was saying, the arc ability, or those can be different abilities, kind of like your special move type of thing. I mean, you have a special move that you build up, but this is kind of a special elemental move like electricity or fire or something like that, right? And they have a dodge, and you get this little hook shot that you can use to get up to higher places and stuff. And it's kind of got some platforming, movability type of situation, going up and down platforms and various things of that nature. So I think that all works really well. I think that I think the combat and the movability of your character, being able to move around and dodge and various things, works really well. I think the game can be a little too cluttered on the action. And what I mean by that is that sometimes there's situations where there's so much going on screen that I forget where the heck my character is at. I don't know if that's because maybe the screen is too far back, because they do have the camera a little further back than I would want. I don't know. For me, it feels like the camera needs to be a little closer up. But there are some sequences. There's a lot, like the background, all the details are really nice, the background details and stuff. But I think it's so much that it just all kind of blends in. Where when you get attacked by 3 or 4 people, and there's maybe explosions going off and various things like that, your character can get a little lost in the chaos. And so sometimes it gets a little hard to figure out where exactly your character's at. Because I found myself in different spots on the screen where I didn't know I was. But I do like that part of it. The thing that I don't like about this game is the roguelike. I don't mind roguelikes. I feel like this game didn't need that, though. This game, I think, would have been better if it would have been a straight, just go through the levels type of story type game, because it almost presents itself that way. And then it seems like they throw in this roguelike looping system like roguelikes have, just because I don't know. It almost feels like it doesn't need to be there, right? Because I liked it because it has like a story and the combat, and you're going through the levels and stuff, and the levels are pretty long, right? And so you get through the level, and they're a good length, I should say. And you get to the next level, and if you fail in the next level, then you start back at level 1 again. And it's like, at least you could start me back at level 2, like, right? If I die in level 1, or if I die in level 1, or if I die in level 2, I'd rather be started back at the beginning of that level than have to do it all over again. Yeah, and I know that's the whole point of roguelikes, but I think some roguelikes just do it better. Because like I said, there are some that I like. I like Hades. Hades is a great roguelike. I like that. I mean, you do start back at level 1, but I think there's so much variation on the level design, and now Loopmancer does change up the level design. So when you restart the level, there are things in different areas and stuff like that. I just think some roguelikes do a little bit better. So I think Hades does a little bit better as far as the roguelike aspect goes, and things like Rogue, or I can't think of the name of it, but Rogue Legacy. I think Rogue Legacy does a really good job of that as well, that roguelike. And that's why I feel like this game, it almost seems, I'm sure the roguelike was probably put there or thought about from the beginning, but it almost seems like an afterthought in my head, that this was kind of an afterthought of making it roguelike. Like it was starting out as just a story-based mission type game, and then they decided to give it some sort of replayability. We're going to throw this roguelike aspect into it. And I feel like it just doesn't need it. I think I would like this game more if it didn't have that. I think this game didn't need the roguelike. I think it would have been fine on its own without having to have that roguelike element to it. But other than that, I like it. I like everything else. so to me, the game's just okay. What about you, Shane?
I would give this game praise, but it's the roguelike that kills it for me. I'm not a rogue fan though, so it's whether or not, like Nick said, there's others that do it better. I haven't found a roguelike that I enjoy. I hate Hades. I think it's terrible, the way it works with the rogue portion of it. I mean, the combat and stuff's pretty neat, but I would rather play this one over Hades myself. But I don't like roguelikes. I don't. I mean, the whole concept of being punished to that extent over and over and over, to me, is just, I mean that's why you like it, Nick. You're a masochist. You enjoy a little pain. I do not. I like happiness. I'm a happy person, damn it. And I want my happiness in my game. I want to be able to go from A to B, and if I die, I don't want to have to go all the way back to A. Now, if I got to the end of B and I start the next chapter, I shouldn't have to go all the way back to A of the first chapter. That to me is ridiculous. But the things I like about the game are everything else. I enjoy the characters. I enjoy the story. I enjoy the cutscenes. I enjoy the gameplay. I enjoy the vast ability, the vast ways you can kill a person. I mean, you can pop a few rounds with your guns, swing in with if you've got the knife attached, and then drop a mine on a dude when the other guys are coming in from off screen. It has some great gameplay. It's the roguelike that just, I rogue hate. I don't like roguelikes. I just rogue hate. So I don't understand why they would have done it this way, because I agree with you. It does feel like the rogue part of it. I know it doesn't even need to be there. A straightforward game would have been much better. And really, I mean, if they wanted to make it roguelike, put the damned option in. I don't know. But it feels like an afterthought. And the developer E-Brain Studios, I believe it was called, looks like they've only made one other game from what I could find, Demon Hunter Toriko. And it got mixed reviews as well, but it was only an Android game. So, they have talent. I can definitely tell you that just from this game alone, because I enjoy so much of it. But the biggest killer for me is the hardest part about the game, and that's the roguelike portion of it. If you're into roguelikes, I guess it's great. But if you're not, if you're like me and you don't like them, this is not for me. So it really bothers me with that portion of it. But I enjoy everything else. And that's what kept me going on it, because I wanted to experience more of the game and more and more. But when you have to go back and re-experience every damn thing, sure, they've made a few adjustments here and there, moved some stuff around, whatnot, as far as finding coins or barrels or crates or whatever, bad guys. It wasn't enough for me to make me want to replay that same first mission over and over and over again. I mean, I've got a wife and 3 kids, man. I got monotony taken care of. I don't need it in my games. So, what about you, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think the game looks gorgeous. I like the gameplay. I like the combat. I think in the beginning, the problem with this game in the beginning is that it's too slow for upgrades. I mean, you have like quite a bit of skills and things to upgrade in, but in the beginning of the game, they give you like jack for the cores that you need to upgrade them and things. And I think that's a huge downfall for this game, because in the very beginning, when you're struggling and you're dying a lot, it just seems defeatist. I feel like it just defeats me, and I'm like, I want to play and I want to progress the story, but at the same time, I can't get past the mechanic. And I don't feel like I'm getting enough cores to actually make meaningful upgrades in the beginning, to whether it's through weapons or through like health or whatever other abilities you have, because there's a little bit of a skill tree in the game as well. I just think that they drip feed the cores and stuff to you too slow early on in the game to make it worthwhile, to be as difficult as it can be. And I agree with you. I don't like roguelike games, and the only thing that kept me going back is the thematic of the game, basically the dystopian cyberpunk type thing with the Asian flares and stuff like that. I thought that was a really cool concept, and I like stuff like that. I mean, that's a really, really great concept for a game, and I wish games would be more like that. Because I remember back in the day, one of my favorite old Sega CD games was like Rise of the Triads, and that kind of stuff kind of reminds me of this. This game kind of reminds me a little bit of that, and just stuff like that. But I agree. I think the roguelike in this game kind of ruins it. It's a great 2D game. I mean, it's great 2D action adventure game, but the roguelike just does a disservice. And it's kind of odd too, because in my opinion, the levels aren't that great. I mean, it's got great visuals, but every time you die, the level changes and shifts. Yes. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's still the same. I mean, it's still the same. Overall, it's still the same. I mean, level 1, for example, if you die and have to repeat that one over a few times, the first like 10 seconds is the same, but then it's like, okay, am I going to run straight, or is this one going to go upwards and then over, or is this one going to go down and then around? So, I mean, the level generation isn't as great as it needs to be, in my opinion, for this to be a roguelike game. And then the trickle feeding of skill ups in the beginning is way too slow. And so it hurts the game, in my opinion, really hurts it. You don't get to the point where you make a lot of the cool critical choices until it's like closer to a decent amount of ways in. By that time, you feel like you've just played the extent of this game because of the roguelike elements of it. And then by the time when you get to a point to where you can open up other parts of the map, so you don't have to run that same little part over and over and over again, it's already felt exhaustive to some extent. So it's leaving, people like me who don't have the patience to just beat on it and beat on it and beat on it to dumb the level down so I can at least enjoy the story a little bit. Like I said, because I think they need to up the skill up in this game. That will probably help it. And I honestly think they need to rework some of the what happens when you die. Like, I don't like they stated, when you have to repeat a whole level when you've already made it to part 2 of the level and you haven't gotten enough intel to skip over some of that stuff and open up a new area to go to. But it's great. It's visually great, visually amazing looking, fun to play, but the roguelike element kills it for me. So it knocks off a lot of points, for me anyway. It's fully voiced over too, which is cool as well.
It is, and it's done really well. I mean, most of the characters in there sound great, look great. My biggest problem at the very beginning was the keyboard and mouse controls. I tried it for an hour, give or take, plus minus, and I hated it. I finally went back and put my controller in. I recommend using your controller by far. It's so cumbersome on that keyboard. I can't remember there was the sprint button, and then there was the attack buttons that were like, that far apart. I could not play that game on PC to save my life. Hook the controller up though, and it plays fantastic on a controller. So definitely recommend.
I control
that.
better. Yep.
Yeah,
I do too. Yeah, because a lot of the skills have you using like left control and left alt. And I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I want my finger to be on the space bar for my jumps and stuff, but then it's having me like do a left alt, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of weird and not cooperative. And not to mention, there's way too many buttons you have to hit to be on the keyboard. I mean, it's just so much better on the controller. About the only thing awkward on the controller is the up button for the reload, but I got over that quick because I didn't use my gun a lot. I'll be honest with you, I didn't use the gun a lot. I did the melee or weapon abilities a lot more than using the gun.
See, my thing was, if I run and I come up to 1 or 2, I would run in with a few rounds, pop some melee, do a dash back, and then I would just repeat that. That was like the best thing for me. More than that, though, come in with a jump attack with which really helped out. But yeah, I couldn't do any of that on the control on the keyboard. And Nick, you just said screw the keyboard at the beginning, didn't you?
Yeah, I just went straight controller from the start because I knew this game, the way it looked and the way I knew it was going to play, that controller was going to be the best option for it. So it seemed like it was made for controller more than keyboard, right? I mean, it's just the way it's designed. But yeah, I mean, this game also has, during your mission, you can buy stuff from the robot. You know, the robot vendor. Yep. I don't know about you guys, but I found that the robot vendor mostly sold either things that were way too expensive that I didn't have the coins for. And if I did have the coins for it, most of everything he sold was worse than what I already had on me. I think only one time did I come across him where I didn't have a melee weapon because I had died and it rebooted, and I started with just my fists, where he had like a lead pipe or something, and I bought that from him. But other than that, like at the very beginning, right? So your coins don't carry over either. Like when you die, you start out with 0 coins again. And by the time you get to the guy the first time, and that's not very far into the first level, you have, most of the stuff he sells is like 300 to 600 coins. And you're not even going to be close to having that amount of coins by the time you get to him. I'm not sure if there's something later on in the game that allows you to bank maybe some of your talents that we were talking about, using the cores to upgrade your talents and stuff. Maybe allows you to bank some when you die. But like Pat said, those cores don't come up very often, right? You get them very slowly. And I think that is one of the things that hurts this roguelike aspect of the game, is it doesn't give you enough of those to power up those things that help assist you in a roguelike to get further, right? And that's one of the things like other roguelikes do, I think, better, in the sense that they allow you to, you might die 2 or 3 times, but by the time you die the 3rd time, even if you made it to the same distance, you have enough to like upgrade a bunch of crap. So when you go back in, you can make it even further. But this game doesn't seem to give you that opportunity. And that's what I think that roguelike kind of hurts it in that aspect. Unless I was doing something wrong, but I'm pretty sure probably experienced the same thing.
I died a bunch of times and I was like, okay, cool. I got some points I can put in. Nope, I don't have anything I can stick in here. About the only thing that I question and I could never find out is when I put points into weapons, my coins into weapons, because you can find random weapons and you can put points into the use authority of them. Do those stay when you die? Like if you run into that gun later on, is the 500 coins I put in there, are they still there? I just could never find another one. I think they're supposed to. But like I said, I couldn't.
That would make more sense than to be able to buy them, because I was going to say, like, those are expensive at the beginning.
Yep.
They also have
1,200 coins and stuff.
HP refill stations. The only way to refill them, they don't charge up a lot of health, and the only way to refill them is to use a core for that, which I would assume you probably wouldn't want to. I mean, unless you had like a desperate situation. But you also do have the soda cans that you can drink to restore your HP. So
right. Yeah, but you never got enough of those.
Yeah. You get, depending on the level, you get like 1 to 2, I think, to start. I do kind of like that they they incorporated terrain type stuff in there. There's explodey barrels, and there's a whole scenes where you're fighting in traffic. So they add some cool little concepts there where guys can get run over. You can get run over, and they also add as most typical roguelikes do, little things to earn more coins and cores while you're playing it, like kill so many people with a pistol, a handgun, kill so many people by throwing them into traffic, hit so many people with explosions, things like that, which are supposed to help you to kind of gear up to earn more in the level before you die. But I found a lot of times I'm just like especially when I had it in the standard difficulty, that I was just not paying too much attention to that and just trying to pay attention to staying alive so I didn't lose my cores and coins and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I did like the terrain stuff too. Busting a door with another dude on the other side was always fun. So the game was worth it. If it would be worth it if they would just take out the roguelike stuff and give me a checkpoint system or something else. Just to fix that. That's don't make it roguelike. Roguelike should never be made.
Yeah, we're not talking about a $60 or $70 game either. It's a $25 game. So it is by far, in my opinion, if you're even a fan of roguelike or if you're a fan of cyberpunk and detective style stories, in my opinion, it's worth the $25. I'd have paid $25 for this because I feel that I've already got my $25 worth out of it. And I'm not done yet, in my opinion. I want to continue the story because the story is kind of intriguing. Like, what the heck's going on with this guy and his family and why do I keep waking up every day? Because they don't really lead to that, which is how most, some roguelikes think of like Deathloop and things like that. But like this is the same way. I'm like, why do I keep waking up? I could choose to start in my apartment when I die or start in the beginning of the last previous level, things like that. So there's constantly something in the story trying to egg me on about what's happening next. Where is this detective chick? And why can I remember everything from every day and keep it up on my bounty board, my board of information. So I think it's worth $25. I don't know about you guys, but it's been on sale from Steam since its release for 10% off. So I think I picked up for like $22.50 or something like that. So
yeah, it was definitely worth the 25. And I'll keep an eye on patches and things like that. Maybe some updates for it. Maybe they'll make some changes that, for me as a non-fan of roguelikes, I'll give it another try for. Because I would like to go back in and do a lot of little things like the challenges. I couldn't do those for crap. The exploding barrel ones, killing dudes with barrels. I think I did like half of it once, and that was it. But you restart. You got to you die, you restart, and it all has to do it again, and it just chaps my butthole.
All right. Anybody else got anything else they want to say on this game?
Rogue hate.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think. Do you guys enjoy roguelike games? Oftentimes, I think it's a cheap mechanic to extend gameplay, but a game is $25. I don't think of it that way. A game that's $60, like Deathloop, yeah, I think it's a cheap mechanic to lengthen gameplay. That's my opinion. I know Nick likes roguelikes more than Shane and I do, and I'm typically not a fan, but this one's got me kind of intrigued, and I like it. So let us know what you think. You're a fan of these roguelike games. I think the setting's beautiful. We all kind of agree with that. I think the roguelike element of this game kills it. But if you've played it, let us know what you think. And if you made it this far in the video and you're not subscribed, might as well go ahead and subscribe because you enjoyed it enough to watch us rant and rave and discuss this game for about 20 minutes. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. So every time we post a new video, it'll let you know. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.